Well, good evening. It is Monday, December 18th, 2023. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So I'm glad you're able to join this evening. As you know, the next two Mondays are holidays, one being Christmas and the other being New Year's. So we will do our shows over the next couple of weeks on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. instead of on Monday because of the holidays. So I hope that that'll be something that you're able to join in with us on those Tuesdays, again on the 25th and the 1st of January. We won't have shows, but we'll have it on the 26th and the 2nd of January at 8 p.m. So as we get started today, I wanted just to go over something that we shared last week, but also I wanted to highlight. We often talk about the four M's, which stand for mapping and mental wellness and mediation and mentorship. But we coined a term that to remind us that it needs to be four M's time. It needs to be something that we make time for. And so we've expanded on what that definition means. So I'll put that up on the screen so you can follow along. So four M's time means being successful by utilizing mapping, attending to your mental wellness, seeking mediation, and with mentorship, while maintaining an upbuilding, and what time stands for here is temperament, acting with integrity, and demonstrating maturity through positive engagement. And as you can see, we have depicted that as a clock. And the clock appears to be something that talks about 12 hours. But what I've learned in order to be a successful person, it's something we have to be doing more like every 12 seconds. That it's something that we're bringing forth these tactics, and we're doing it with a great frequency. And we're allowing ourselves to do it intentionally, and learning how to do it somewhat comfortably as we make these efforts. But I think often people look at success and they think it's going to be easy, and it doesn't require a lot of work, but it generally does. And especially if you're trying to, along those same lines, attain your personal best and to be the best person you can be, it does require a fair amount of work. So we want to talk to someone this evening, Ms. Valerie Rollins, who's going to talk to us about her journey to attain her personal best and what that's looked like, the good, the bad, and the stuff in between. I've known Valerie for many years and really appreciate her as a person, also as a colleague, and as a professional. So we'll ask her to join us now. So hello, Ms. Valerie Rollins. How are you?
I am doing well this evening, Dr. Williams. Well. How about yourself, sir?
Very good. I cannot complain. I want to encourage people, if you at any point would like to call in on the bottom of the screen there, and I think I will also can make this show up. Well, it's on the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to call in, you have to use that link in which to do so. So feel free, if that's something you'd like to do, to please call in. And this is broadcast on Facebook and on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Today we're starting with Instagram as well. So there are lots of different platforms that it's broadcasting out, but it's also maintained on our YouTube channel. So please like and subscribe and share with others anything that you feel would be helpful. So without further ado, Ms. Valerie Rollins, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, and please be mindful that this is going to be forever there. It won't disappear. So whatever you say will be here forever. So without further ado, Ms. Valerie.
Sir. I came to Dr. Williams by way of a student. I myself was into the administrative section of life. I worked for the city of Philadelphia, and my plan was to retire from there. However, my own children were having some issues. And my husband and I decided that I needed to come home. Coming home didn't solve the issues, so I wound up volunteering in the school. And while I was there, I realized that that is where God wanted me, because my kids wind up moving on and I never did. There was a young lady there named Sierra Brockington. And Sierra Brockington was in a group home at the time, and I wasn't very familiar at all with group homes. And at that time, I was in between work. And Sierra Brockington, I befriended her while she was in that group home. And someone called me. She called me because she ran away from her foster parents, and DHS had her. It was Christmas time, and the only person she could think of to call was me. I was surprised DHS asked me to come down there and pick this girl up. They didn't even know me, but I did it. And I brought this young lady home. My kids were all in school or whatever. And I brought her home and I gave her Christmas and the whole nine. And they came and got her after New Year. She didn't want to leave. But nevertheless, make a long story short, we move on. And I'm in between jobs, and Sierra Brockington comes to see me. She comes to see me often. And she says, you know what? I think you would be a great house parent. I said, house parent where? And she said, child first. So she gave me the information. And voila, here I was 10 years ago. That's how I came to Child First Services. So I look at that as, at the time, Sierra needed me, and I was there. And God gave me a refund when I needed to Sierra, because she led me to you. So that is how I came to Child First.
Wow. So, Ms. Valerie, if you don't mind, to just talk a little bit about the journey and how, if in any way, the stuff that you've learned over time has been helpful to you.
Well, I just wanted to say, by way of that young lady, is the work that I do. So, I think the work had started for me, for Child First, long before I got to you. So when I got to Child First, and I was ready to quit, to be quite honest with you. Well, Dr. Williams knows this, because I wasn't really familiar with the group home setting, and I didn't know if I was doing a good job, and I had a kid AWOL, and I said, hey, I'm not going to be a service to these kids. I won't be a disservice. And Dr. Williams, you came up to the campus and you talked to me. You walked me around that campus and you motivated me. And I knew that day when you did that, that was somewhere I needed to be, because you didn't wash your hands immediately. You motivated immediately. And from the time that I've been there until now, that's what you have done for me. One of the things we talked about a great deal in all staff, being mindful of your finances, just living from paycheck to paycheck. And I took that information in and began to be very frugal with my money and stop living from paycheck to paycheck. So that was one of the things. But the bigger journey is the tools that I've been given. Those tools have not only helped me in my work, they have helped me in my personal life. And one of those, one of the first ones we rolled out, love, the loyal oath to value everyone. It's one of my favorites. Care, concerned about reaching excellence. These things I live with. And not only do I live with them, I give them to everyone that's around me. And that has been a big part of, and the one thing you say too, you cannot do for you and our youth what you can't do for yourself. So I had to become intentional about using the tools that you gave me, so I could see them work not only in my life, but know that they were good, they were solid, and I could do it with the children as well.
So, Ms. Valerie, as a person who's lived a full life, and then you come into learning some new stuff that may not be like the other stuff that you've heard, what gave you the ability to at least give it a chance? What gave you the ability to at least listen?
Well, I've always been a learner. I've always wanted to obtain knowledge, and I also always want to be better. So, and then I also recognize when God places someone in your life, so those factors, the fact that I recognize when God puts someone in my life, the fact that I want to learn, and the fact that I want to be better, I had to open up my mind. And I'll tell you something, Dr. Williams, one of the biggest things that you taught me that I had an issue with when you taught it that day, I'll never forget it. You walked in the room and all staff, and you put on the board trauma, and then you crossed it out and you wrote life. And then you turned around and said to us, we spend too much time talking about trauma. Trauma makes you selfish. Oh, you cannot be serious. You mean to tell me all the things I've been through? I can't talk about what I've been through. You got to be kidding me. This happened, that happened. But when you got finished telling us that it keeps you talking about you, you never get a chance to heal. This happened to me. That happened to me. It has happened to many of us. And we are not alone in this thing, whatever that thing is. So that was one of the most profound, and one of the things that stay with me the most is cross out trauma and make it life.
And I think, Ms. Valerie, you bring up a really good point there, that each one of us are assigned a traumatic task to deal with. And some of them, we may look at the others and say, they, watch their dog, get run over, or they watch their dog, or their dog ran away. And we may look at that. And then other people have had circumstances where they were the only survivor, and their family was destroyed by fire, including the individuals, including the home. So again, it looks different for different people. And we, our job is not to be the judge of someone else's trauma and experience. But it's important to just keep in mind that everyone has it. And I believe that we're assigned the challenging life events that we can deal with. No one gets through this easy and free. And our job is to talk about the assignment that has been given to our particular life, and help others to grow from that and to learn from that. But what we have to break is the silence and secrets that we often have about these circumstances, so that we can let others learn from it. And again, if we don't share that, then what we experience will be something we take with us, and others don't have a chance to learn. So I know, Ms. Valerie, there have been some challenging things that you've overcome and you've dealt with. How do you help other people who may have similar situations to overcome theirs?
Well, Dr. Williams, one of the things I learned sitting under your tutelage is I found out that it was a word, parentified, that I had been parentified. And I thought that was the worst thing in the world all my life.
Could you explain what that means, Ms. Valerie, for those who may not know?
Certainly I can. Certainly I can, sir. Parentified is when a parent or parents take a child and put them in the place of a parent, give them the responsibilities of parenting. And that kind of snatches some of the child's childhood. And it confuses the child too. Because I know for me, with I especially took care of my siblings over the weekends when my mom would hang out or be out or whatever, and they got accustomed to it as well. So when mom was home, the kids were coming to me, and I'm dishing out my parental duties, but then mom is like, I'm home, you're not the mother. So it was confusing for all of us. But being parentified, I thought that was the worst thing in the world. But like you said earlier, none of us get out of this without some type of traumatic thing. Well, that thing for me wound up being one of the best things ever, because I know how to take care of children. I started at a very early age. I mean, I have the compassion, you know what I mean? I have the patience, because and that's due to my mother parentifying me. So what I thought was going to be the worst thing ever for me, God turned it around and made it something good, because I take care of the children that I am in charge of or in care of.
And I think that's important. That's an important piece, Miss Valerie, that we have to take our circumstances and turn them into something positive, no matter what that circumstance is. But as you said earlier, we first have to get over us and our trauma to realize what is this assignment that's been given? How do I work it? How do I make it benefit myself and others? And I think that often people think like, how can me, I being molested or whatever the circumstance, how can that be a blessing? Well,
Uh-huh.
you often understand that there's grooming that went on, and there's circumstances where people were not in places they should have been. You can talk about that. You can talk about how the molestation was made possible. And
Yeah.
again, add some sunlight and break the silence there, and stop the secret. So again, I think that
And,
that's
and and like you said, I'm sorry.
no,
Like you said, sir, we don't take it as an assignment, because I don't look at what I do as just work. Yes, God is providing me a way to care for my family, but this is not a just a job for me. This is an assignment.
Mhm.
And I have to stay on my assignment until, he assigns me something else.
Right.
No matter how hard it gets, no matter how weary I get, no
Mhm.
matter, it's no matter. It's not a matter. I am on assignment.
Wow. And Miss Valerie, what are some of the things that I had up earlier? I know one of your favorite things is the whole person. So I had that on the screen. I don't know if you can see that, but in some of the other domains of your life, the 8 domains are personal development, and spirituality, and health, and recreation, and education. Family and friends. So, what are those? When you look at these areas of your own life, Miss Valerie, what are some of the things that you have on the horizon for you in the future?
Well, as far as family and friends, I've come to a point, because again, under your teachings, we realize that those 8 domains, if you're leaking somewhere, it's going to leak in all of the other 7. So I am today very mindful of keeping a balance in my 8 domains. I'm balancing out with my health. I'm getting older, and diet changes and exercise, and got to be a little more mindful of that. Um, that's the health domain, and my spirituality, I try to keep that in check. Now, I think I had a little leakage in friends and family,
Mm,
but I had to take courage, and stand boldly, because we had some things passed down over the years that actually need to just go. We
mhm,
we we just have to do better. So my personal development, I'm constantly learning. I read a lot. I watch a lot of documentaries. I try to keep those, now that I know that I have to have all of those 8 domains balanced out. I'm
mhm,
very intentional on making sure I keep a balance.
mhm. Good point. And I know, Miss Valerie, you were a person that spirituality was a major part and is a major part of who you are. And so part of the conversation with us over the years has been to introduce the importance of the others. And just as a person who has used spirituality and not used it, but it's been a major part of your life, how have you tolerated considering some of these other areas as important areas as well? Understanding that spirituality was such a basis for you.
Well, it wasn't hard to accept these things, because if you look at, if you're in my spirituality and reading the word and being taught in Bible study, these things are important to God for you. Yeah,
Mm,
I mean, I know you remember a lot of times when you introduced us to something new, I automatically saw scripture. That's why it was not hard for me to buy into what you were selling.
mm,
Because again, it's for me, it's faith-based.
mm,
God would want us to constantly, and he said, for a lack of knowledge, our people are destroyed.
mm.
That's education.
Right.
You're supposed to be frugal and be mindful of your finances.
Mhm,
If you don't, he said, if you don't work, you don't eat.
mhm,
you know we should always be mindful of our friends and family, Forgiveness is number one. So it was very easy for me to dive deeper, I should say, into those other seven, because for me, they were faith-based anyway.
And I think you bring up a good point that, often I think we fail to realize that our higher power wants all these things for us as well. He wants us to have personal development, wants us to have finances, wants to have an environment that's not toxic. So, wants us to learn as much as we can about the much we don't know. So I think you bring up a really, really good point. Ms. Valerie, I don't know if you could see the screen there, but one of our former residents, Mr. Johnson, says, "You are an amazing woman, and we are thankful for you." So that's what.
Oh, Mr. Johnson, thank you so much.
And one of the questions that he did ask is, how have you been able to stay focused over the years?
Well, when people prayer, a lot of prayer, a lot of talking to God, I gotta hang in there, a lot of talking to you, a lot of talking it out. We just gotta talk it out. It's not gonna ever be easy. It's not easy. These are we have young people's lives in our hands. It's not easy.
Sure.
And you want to make sure you're staying in the right space for these young people. It's so important. And I mean, even when I started 10 years ago, they're so different today. The world is different. And when I look at those young people, I see my own children.
And again, with so many other things competing for their attention, it's a hard road they have to. But I think, Ms. Valerie, you definitely make it easier for them in which to try to traverse the roads. And so we thank you for doing that. Ms. Valerie, as we get ready to wrap up our time with you, is there anything else that you want to talk about or you want to share? This is not the once and done time. We can definitely get back together again in the future. But if anything in the last couple of minutes that you want to talk about.
Well, I would just wrap up with really looking at those 8 domains and really, really trying to be intentional about those 8 domains, because it will make a big difference in your life. I can attest to it, tried and proven. The product works.
Very good. And so another person has wrote, "The navigator of life is what helped me in my home and working at Summit House. I then went on to college and received points to entry in college." So again, different things resonate with different people. But again, it's important for us to have something there so that they have a full plate to choose from, because certain things resonate with certain people versus others. But we got to keep, again, breaking that silence and breaking those secrets, and working together, to try to deal with the challenges that lie ahead. But again, I want to thank you, Ms. Valerie, for being one of those people that are working in tandem with us to try to address the issues that are out there. And I look forward to, working side by side with you going forward.
Dr. Williams, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to stay with the company. I'd like to thank you for all the education you've given me. I'd like to thank you for putting up with some of my mishaps and mistakes. And it's been my pleasure. And I'm going to keep on going until the wheels fall off.
All right. That's all we can ask.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for having me, sir. Sir, have a wonderful night.
Sure. No problem.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I see there's a Miss Desiree Clark. I don't see your picture here, but I don't know if you can hear us, Miss Clark.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. We can't see you, but that's okay.
Hi, I just wanted to talk to you. I am in program right now at Integrity.
Okay.
I wanted to introduce myself with you and, see if we could talk about some 2 things, if I can learn some things from you. I've been working with you since August. And I love everything that you do. I've been learning a lot. Right now I'm in school studying psychology. So this is something that, I've been working towards, and being able to be in your program and see these things play out is like, something that, resonates with me. So, I would just like to talk to you about a few things
Sure.
and see if one day I can get up here and talk, show my face and stuff like
Sure.
that.
Sure. We can definitely arrange for that to happen. Is there a particular question or a thought you want to share, or anything that has resonated with you that you want to share? And please be mindful, this is not just a show for inside the agency. This is on the internet. So anyone in the world that has the internet can listen to it. So if there's anything you want to share, please be mindful of that.
No, I don't have nothing right now because I have so many thoughts. Like
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts
After I
right
said
now.
that took the party.
Definitely. So yeah, I have so many thoughts. So I definitely
That's okay. And again,
keep
we
that
can
in
follow.
mind.
Yeah, and that's okay. We can follow up on that, and I'll definitely make a note to circle back to you. But I do
Okay.
appreciate the work that you're doing, and hopefully by watching Miss Val tonight, you realize, as a person who's been doing it 10 years, that she's been doing it, that it is work that's meaningful, and that's important, and hopefully she
Yeah, I
serves.
love what he said about like it's not just about being here, it's how you show up outside. Because I said that
Sure.
on the call where Dr. Piso, I
Right.
think
Pleasure.
that's
Sure.
the other day, and I said that to everyone, like,
Yeah.
outside of here, this is who I am, and I think that's really important. So I
Good.
do, I was listening. I tapped in a little late. It took me a while to get the boys out of the room. They like being
Sure.
under me. So,
Sure. But again, thank you for all you're doing. All right,
I
I'll let you go.
appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Well, as we get ready to wrap up this evening, hopefully you can appreciate the message of Miss Val and her journey as a person as well as a professional in trying to make a difference in the lives of others as she's trying to make a difference in her own life. The work that we do, no matter what we do, we're in service to other people, and that it's important for us to be our best so that we can deliver our best to others. But again, it's a journey. Trying to be your best and attaining your personal best. It's not a destination. It's something we're hopefully working on each and every day, and don't get comfortable with what we've accomplished at any given point. And again, as Ms. Valerie underlined and I shared before, this is our assignment. Let's proceed with a sense of excitement and eagerness and enthusiasm to make a difference and to have an impact. All right. Well, again, we'll be back next week, not on Monday, but on Tuesday at 8 p.m. I hope that fits into your schedule, and we'll do the same thing on January 2nd as well. For those of you that are celebrating holidays, I wish you the very best. Until next Tuesday, take care.